not so much about the money and fame. I mean, those are always nice byproducts, but it's about doing something that you're passionate about and invoking a response in others through that art.
Well said, Rustin. And I tell kids that, and I tell the parents of kids that come up to me and ask, you know, hey, what does it take? Or I'd like to do music full time. I tell them the same thing. I go, man, don't worry about the money and don't worry about the fame. That stuff will come. At the end of the day, it just doesn't really matter. What matters is that fulfillment that you're getting from doing something you love, and the fact that you can earn a living doing it. And, you know, man, every great thing that has happened for me in my life has come all because of music. So I always want to kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, kind of pay respects to that, man, on a daily basis, because I am very fortunate, man, and I'm just grateful to get to keep doing it.
Talk about some of your other projects you're involved with. You've already alluded to and mentioned Whiskey Falls. There in the mid-2000s or aughts, whatever we call them.
Yeah.
You got involved with that project, sort of unleashed your country side. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, man, I've been longtime friends with another musician from Birmingham named Buck Johnson, no relation. And, you know, man, Buck was the guy that called me right after Brother Kane disbanded. And he was, at the time, playing keyboards for John Waite, and John needed a guitar player. And it was my first ever sideman gig. And I really have to thank Buck for that, you know, for considering me. And it was just such an amazing experience to work with John. And at that time, Buck and I had also started writing some songs together, one of which ultimately wound up on a Carlos Santana record.
Right.
So, you know, I always wanted to keep working with Buck. We just have a great chemistry. Well, he's the one that called me in the latter part of 2006, and he said, bro, I have our future. This is it. You know, he goes, I got this new band. And as soon as I heard him say those two words, new band, I said, I'm out, bro. I'm not starting another band. I don't want to be in any more bands. I got too many projects. There's too much going on. He says, well, just let me send you some music and check it out. And he did, man, and I was floored. He had met Seven and Wally, and, you know, he sent me some of their material, and then the first time the four of us got in a room together with acoustic guitars and did some harmonizing, I very humbly compare it, Rustin, to probably the way the Led Zeppelin guys felt the first time they played music together. It was as much of a total slam dunk. I was like, man, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard, much less been a part of. So we really gave it a shot, man. We made a great first record, you know, toured that whole, you know, the country market, man, aggressively for 2 years and opened for everybody you can name. Brad Paisley, Vince Gill, Brooks and Dunn, on and on and on. Played the Grand Ole Opry twice. And, you know, to be on the stage and just see the reaction from people in the audience, man, it's so fulfilling to just blow people's minds with the sounds of our voices. So, you know, we just really felt like, man, we had a shot, that we had a chance to really take it to another level. And we were signed to a small label out of Nashville. And when the housing market took that major hit toward the latter part of 2007, early 2008, the two guys that were the investors in that label, all of their money was in the housing market. So It literally killed us. It just stopped us dead in our tracks. We toured for the better part of the rest of 2008, but we weren't able to transition to another label, and we just kind of ran out of gas because two of the guys live on the West Coast, and then Buck and I live in, you know, Nashville and Birmingham, and so it makes band rehearsal tough, you know. But as you can probably tell, man, by my voice, I love that band. I love those guys, and you know, it's always cool when people come up and ask about Whiskey Falls.
You've been involved in so many different projects, and they're not all the same. It's not like all like Alice Cooper or hard rock stuff like that. I mean, you've been in the country thing. You've done your singer-songwriter stuff yourself. Then you were sort of in another side project with Scott Rockenfeld from Queensryche, I believe, Slave to the System?
Yeah, man. Totally. And I'm still enslaved to the system. Yeah, man, that dates back to when I met Kelly Gray. Kevin Martin from Candlebox introduced us, and because Kelly had produced their first two records, and we needed a producer for our third album in Brother Kane, which Kelly wound up doing, did an amazing job. He and I wrote some great songs together, and we just stayed in touch. And then it was this weird irony that when Chris DeGarmo left Queensryche, Kelly wound up replacing Chris, because Kelly went to high school with Jeff Tate, knew all the guys, and it just made a lot of sense at multiple levels. So it was during Kelly's tenure as a band member in Queensryche that he started telling Scott about me, and we got together. And man, that first album we put out, bro, I'm just telling you, that thing came together in literally a period of about 12 days, and still maybe my favorite rock album that I've ever been involved in, man. The songs are killer, the lyrics are killer, the sound is killer, and we made the whole thing in Kelly's garage. So and Kelly and I've continued to write and record even since then, as we have with Scott. We've got a second batch of material, Rustin, that we would love to get out there. Right now it is the challenge of just finding the time to do it, because we need...
Between what you're doing, Scott and Kelly.
Yeah, because...
sound engineer.
Yeah, it's a lot, man, because Kelly's not in the band on stage anymore, but he's writing with the guys, producing them, engineering, very involved in Queensryche, and those guys are a machine as well, man. They're a lot like Alice Cooper in that they're touring every year and trying to, write and record.
The comes out this year, so they're going to be on tour the remainder of the year.
Yeah.
But and you got a chance to write a song with Jeff and the other guys and stuff too. So
I did, man. Really exciting. I've always been a fan of Queensryche, and particularly of Jeff's voice and his lyrics. And, for him to call me one day, he had heard some of the material that Kelly and I had been writing for this next batch of Slave to the System songs. And he called me at home and he said, "Hey, man, I've got this concept for this new album, and there's 2 pieces of music that you guys did that I love. Would you be cool if I kind of rewrote some of the lyrics to fit what I'm doing?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me, man? That'd be awesome. Do it, knock yourself out." So, just again, man, an honor for me to be a part of, that new album. And they actually used, I played some acoustic guitar on those tracks as well. So, I'm kind of a phantom member of Queensryche now, I guess. I like it.
Yeah, I can't wait for their new album. I talked to Jeff a couple of times in the last year about what it was going to be about, because we were talking about technology and all that great stuff and how it's sort of taken over who we are as a society. And he said, that's sort of the basis for the next record. So I'm excited to hear it. But
well, me too, man. I can't wait.
The other thing I'm excited to hear, and I haven't got my ears on it yet because I don't know when it's coming out, so you'll have to tell me. I understand you put Brother Kane back together. Zach Myers from Shinedown's involved this time. I know Chuck, who's played with you and Alice, is involved. Bring us up to speed on what's going on with Brother Kane.
Well, I had the opportunity last year in April of 2010 to play at the Dallas Guitar Show. And I got to meet this great guy down there, Jimmy Wallace. He's the guy that kind of runs that thing and has put it on for several years now. And between Jimmy and a great friend of mine, I'm playing some amazing new electric guitars, this company called Guilford. Mm-hmm. Those guys and Jimmy were friends, and one thing leads to another. And I jammed with Jimmy at the All-Star Jam that they have every year. And he's a blues guy, man, and his band is very blues and amazing. So, a lot of the rock and roll and heavy metal guys would sit in and jam with Jimmy's band, and, they're out there playing 1 million notes a minute and, trying to get all their tricks in. And I just didn't even want to do that, man. I just wanted to kind of get inside that fat groove that those guys had and just feel it, man, and play some rhythm and play some blues. And for whatever reason, man, Jimmy just loved my playing. And so I have to give Jimmy a lot of credit, Rustin, because he called me and said, "Hey, man, why don't you put Brother Kane together and come down here and play next year?" And I was like, "Oh, man, we can't get the guy, everybody's doing different stuff." And he goes, "Just get one of the other guys and get some other people and come and do it." And I'd never really thought about that, man, because I don't know. Brother Kane was the 4 of us, and but it's been a long time, man. It's been so long since we toured and really did anything on a regular basis. So it was such a pleasure to get to reconnect with Scott Carter, the amazing drummer from Brother Kane, and then to have Chuck and Zach involved, man, was just ridiculously awesome. Zach has been a fan of Brother Kane since he was 15 years old, literally. As a matter of fact, when he had his little trio blues band in Memphis 100 years ago, man. He opened for Brother Kane. I mean, he was a little kid, Rustin, literally like 15, 16 years old, and we got him up on stage to sit in with us, and apparently that had a big impact on him. So it pays, for all you musicians listening, it pays to be nice to the opening act, because you just never know when those young kids are going to grow up and be in, one of the biggest American bands, contemporary-wise, So, but it was awesome, man. It was so great to play those songs again, and it's absolutely something I want to focus on and continue to do, particularly, as we look at 2012.
So we might see another Brother Kane album.
Yes, we might. We absolutely might. I really want to do it, Rustin.
Well, we'd all love to hear it. I know that for sure. You've written songs for or with so many artists. Some of my favorites, obviously, Ted Nugent, Sammy Hagar. You were involved with. I think you were even somehow involved in the third Damn Yankees album that never even came out.
I was, man, and I get asked about that so often, and I look back on that experience very fondly, and it is kind of a drag, man, that it just didn't see the light of day. You can imagine how blown my mind was to get a phone call from John Kalodner and Jack Blades to say, hey, man, Tommy Shaw has just taken, a leadership role in Styx now, and they're putting a new tour together, but we want to make another Damn Yankees record. Tommy's given us his blessing to bring in somebody else. And John and I had always stayed in touch, and he was a fan of my songwriting and that kind of thing, and he passed it on to Jack, and one thing leads to another. I'd known Ted since the early 90s because Brother Kane did a bunch of shows with Ted.
Right.
So all of a sudden, man, in early 2000, I wound up in a rehearsal barn in Northern California, and there's Jack Blades, Ted Nugent, Michael Carlone, and me. And it was incredible, man. And of course, Columbia Records was involved. Kalodner was A&R in it, and we even brought Tommy back in. It was, it was like Ted told me. He goes, Damon, you got to look at this like when the Eagles brought Joe Walsh in. They didn't let anybody go. They just added another guy. Well, you're Joe Walsh of the Damn Yankees. So, and we had a blast, man. It was again exciting for me because I was a fan of all those guys growing up, and but the record just didn't turn out well, man. We weren't happy with the mixes. And then all of a sudden, everybody got busy. Ted's tour came up, and he needed to hit the road, and Jack had Night Ranger commitments, and so everybody just kind of went back to work and did their other stuff. But there is an album sitting on a shelf somewhere at Columbia Records, and if you find it, give me a copy of it, because I'd love to hear it.
I was going to hit you up for it.
That's awesome.
With all the people you've written with or for and everything, if you had an opportunity to write or perform with anyone, dead or alive, past or present, who would it be?
That's really easy. Two guys. I'd love to perform with Jimi Hendrix. Jimmy was the consummate total package. He was everything. Visionary, singer, lyricist, guitar lord, fashion guru. I mean, he had it all down, man. And I have to kind of give respects, man, for I heard my very first Steve Earle record 12 years ago. And this was, his Brother Kane was kind of running out of gas, and I just felt like, man, maybe I should just go back to school and go do something else. And I discovered Steve's music, and it inspired me at a level I just didn't think I could get inspired again. Not in a way that I wanted to emulate him, but to just pick up his records and listen to how amazing these songs were, and the fact that he writes everything all by himself, and he's from Texas originally, but specifically from the South, and he kind of came from more of these Southern rock country roots, which is where I came from, long before I ever put Brother Kane together. So I just felt like it kind of gave me a compass for the last 10 years, for sure, Rustin. So I would love to do something with Steve. I'd be intimidated as hell to write anything with him, but I'd love to just play some shows with him. Maybe let me sing something and play a little guitar.
Did you hear him coming? You're gonna die.